Good day, students. You're welcome to another segment of our e-learning. I hope you've been enjoying our lessons so far. My name is Mrs. Lenchi HN, and I'm your economics teacher, SS1 to be precise. But I want to encourage the SS3 and SS2 students to log in or follow us up, because it will serve as a revision for them, especially for those of them preparing for the SSCE. We are looking at the topic demand theory. But before we go into the topic proper, we want to look at the objectives, and these are things that you are expected to know as students at the end of this lesson. At the end of this lesson, you're expected to be able to define demand, say the difference between want and demand, individual demand and market demand. Number 3, you are expected to state the law of demand and explain the demand schedule and demand curve. Now let's look at the definition proper. What is demand? Demand, we know, is the quantity of goods and services a consumer is willing and able to buy at a particular price and at a particular time. Remember that when you are defining demand, you don't define it as a layman, but you define it as an economist. Demand is the quantity of goods and services a consumer is willing. You can see that I underlined the word willing and able. The word able to buy at a particular price and at a particular time. If the willingness and the ability is not there, then it's no longer demand. You understand as we go on. Now let's look at the differences between demand and want, individual demand and market demand. Want is just the ability to desire for something or desire to own something. The demand is the ability to pay for these wants or needs. One may desire to have an aeroplane, but if the ability to pay for that which you desire is not there, then it's no longer demand. It is not demand. When the desire is backed up with the ability to pay, it is called effective demand. Just like we have effective communication. Two-way communication. If I call you, you respond, it is effective. But if I call you and you don't respond, that communication is not effective. So demand is effective when the desire, the want, is backed up with the ability to pay for those things that you desire. We say we have effective demand. Now, looking at individual demand and market demand. Individual demand represents the demand of one individual or a firm. It represents the quantity of goods and services that a single consumer would buy at a specific price and at a specific time. That is individual demand. One person. We are looking at the demand of one person. If I go to the market to buy anything, just my demand, what I'm able to buy or pay for at that time is what we are looking at. But when it comes to market demand is the total quantity demanded by all consumers. It is the aggregate of all individual demand. We are trying to sum up the demand of everyone who went to the market that day to demand for a particular commodity. So that is the market demand. We are bringing, my name is Hope. If we are looking at my demand, it's just the demand of one person. But when you bring the demand of Hope, you bring the demand of Ngozi, the demand of Ujo, and all of them, when you put them together, it forms the what? The market demand. You understand as we go on, maybe when we get to the demand schedule and the demand curve. Now, another thing we are looking at is the law of demand. Just like we told you that economics is a science because it has laws and theories like other science subjects. Economics has laws and theories like other a science subject. So this is one of the laws in economics, the law of demand. The law of demand is also known as the first law of demand and supply. Demand and supply is the bone of economics, the mainstream of economics. Without demand and supply, economics is not complete. So you have to know this very, very well. The law of demand is also called the first law of demand and supply. This one is the first law. And it states that the higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity demanded of that commodity. And the lower the price of a commodity, the higher the quantity demanded. Of course, you know that when the price of a commodity is high, for example, if I go to the market with 2,000 naira and I want to buy a bucket of garri, and on getting to the market, I was told that the bucket of garri is 1,500. Of course, you know, I will not be able to buy more of that garri. The quantity will be limited. But if, on the other hand, I go to the market and I'm told that, you know, garri is 500 naira per bucket. Yes, your guess is as good as mine. I will be able to do what? Buy more of that bucket. I'll be able to buy like 4 of that bucket. So that is the behavior of every consumer. Every consumer, no matter who you are, no matter how much you have, you want to buy commodities at the cheapest price. In fact, you want to maximize, you know, your utility, your satisfaction. So we said that the law of demand states that the higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity demanded of that commodity. And the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded of that commodity. Okay, from the law of demand, we now look at demand schedule. Demand schedule is a tabular representation of the quantity of goods and services a consumer is willing and able to buy at a particular time and at a particular price. You want to see the behavior of a consumer when towards the price of the commodity he or she wants to buy. And this can also represent the individual demand. Let's see the example of the demand schedule. Here you have it in a tabular form. We said it is a tabular representation of the quantity of goods and services a consumer is willing and able to buy at a particular price and time. Now this is the price of the tuber of yam here in naira and the quantity of the tuber of yam here. When the price of yam is 20 naira, the consumer will buy 100 tubers. And if the price is 40 naira, the consumer will buy 80. If the price is 60 naira, the consumer will buy 60. If the price rises to 80 naira, the consumer will buy 40. If the price rises to 100, the consumer will buy 20 tubers. And if the price rises to 120 naira, you can see that nothing will be bought. The consumer will rather maybe look for alternative or forgo the buying of yam entirely. So let's look at the demand curve. The demand curve is a graphical representation of this demand schedule. You say it's a graphical representation of the quantity of goods and services which a consumer is willing and able to buy at a particular price and at a particular time. Simply put, it is the graphical representation of the demand schedule. You want to put this table in a graph form. You want to represent it graphically. You see your graph. This is the example of your graph here. You have the y-axis, you have the x-axis. The price is on the y-axis, while the quantity demanded is on the x-axis. Just the same way you plot your graph in mathematics, it's the same way we plot this. You choose your scales very well so that you have a straight computation or a straight line. Now, this is just a plain sheet, so you don't expect the line to be that straight because this is not a graph. Now, you see the price is here. This is your 0 point, 20 naira, 40 naira, 60 naira, 80 naira, 100 naira, and up to 120 naira. And then you have your quantity demanded, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, and 120. When the price of the commodity, just like we saw in the table, is 20, and the price of commodity is 20, the consumer will buy how many? 100. When the price is 20 here, the consumer will buy 100 tubers. And when the price is 40, the consumer will buy 80 tubers. When the price is 60, the consumer will buy only 60 tubers. When the price is 80, the consumer will buy 80 here, 40 tubers. When the price is 100, the consumer will buy 20. And when the price is 120, you see zero line, the consumer will buy nothing. So you see the graph sloping down from the left to the right. The demand curve slopes down from the left to the right, showing that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, and the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. You can see it represented in the graph form here. Now let's go down to the market demand schedule. You can see the market demand schedule. The first schedule has only one consumer buying the product, but here we have different consumers, and so we want to bring them together, just like we have told you that the market demand schedule is the total of all the demand or market demand. Now look at it. The price is here. Look at the price. Look at the quantity Mr. Ojo is willing and able to pay for. Look at the quantities that Mr. John is willing and able to pay for. And that's the quantity Mr. Udo is willing and able to pay for. At the end, you just sum up. We said it is the aggregate of all the market demand, of all the demand. So you say, you add them together, 10 plus 5 is 15, plus 10 is 25. 20 plus 10 is 30, and plus 20 is 50. 25 plus 15 and plus 30 is 70, and so on. 30 plus 20 plus this is 90, and then 50 plus this is 75. 75 plus 50 is 125. So when you are plotting the graph, just like we have plotted our graph here, when you are plotting the graph, you use the price and the aggregate demand or the total demand. So the next thing we're going to look at is how to plot the market demand schedule. Let us look at the market demand curve. We are drawing the market demand curve from the market demand schedule. As usual, you have your y-axis, you have your x-axis. The price is on the y-axis and the quantity demanded on the x-axis. When the price of the commodity, just like we had in our curve, just like we have in our curve here, when the price of the commodity is 100, the quantity demanded, that is the aggregate demand. We are plotting with the aggregate demand. Remember, aggregate demand, that is the total quantity demanded is 25. And then when the price is 80, total quantity demanded is 50. So when you look at this list, you see the price. When the price is 100, the total quantity demanded is 25 here. When the price is 80, the total quantity demanded is what? 50. And when the price is 60, the total quantity demanded is 70. When the price is 40, the total quantity demanded is what? Is 70 here. And when the price is 20, the total quantity demanded, when the price is 40, the total quantity demanded is 90. When the price is 20, the total quantity demanded is 125. By the time you join it, you will have your demand curve, drawn out, sloping from the left to the right, showing that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, and also the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. So we've been able to look at demand today, the theory of demand. We've been able to look at the definition of demand, the quantity, of goods and services that a consumer is willing and able to pay for, willing and able to buy at a particular price and at a particular time. And we've told us that demand is different from want. Want is mere desire for that commodity, but demand is when that your desire is backed up with the ability to pay. And then we've been able to see the individual demand curve and the market demand curve. The individual demand curve, we said, is the quantity of goods and services that an individual is willing and able to buy or pay for at a particular price and at a particular time, while the market demand is made up of different individual demands. That is the aggregate of all the individual demands, different individuals, what they are willing to buy or pay for at a particular price and at a particular point. You put them together, you add them together to form the aggregate market demand, and that's the curve we have here. So with this, I'm sure you have enjoyed the lesson. And for your assignment, we have 2 assignments there for you. Explain 4 types of demand. That's number 1. Number 2, enumerate 5 factors affecting demand. 4 types of demand. Enumerate 5 factors affecting demand. You're going to submit your assignment at the email address that is showing on your screen. Thank you very much for being a part of this lesson.